Hello, my fine little people. Oh, so fine little people. Welcome to the Imperfect Image Podcast, episode 26, with myself, Jordan.
And me, Ashley.
It's 2 episodes in a row.
2 episodes in a row.
I feel like I have friends. I'm
I love
recording
it.
with someone. It's not just me. Because if this was just me this week, it would have been a sad-ass episode, I'll tell you that much.
Now you need a counterbalance to bring you back from the brink, do you?
Yeah. That sounds good. Coming back from the brink. I like that idea.
And would you like to tell everybody why you are on the brink today?
No, not yet. That's out of order. We can't do that.
It's suspenseful. Okay.
Well, you could call it that, or we wrote down a list, and I got to follow the list. Otherwise, we're going to forget stuff, and then people are going to get left out, and oh my god.
I'm pretty sure right before we started, I either said or was thinking, you take the lead today, and here I am, just being bossy and trying to control things.
Yeah, shut it.
Typical woman.
Well, you said it. Here's a good way to start. This will be quick. This week in sports, Manchester United continue to suck, and that's it.
I also have a This Week in Sports update myself.
Oh, yes, you do, don't you?
This week in sports, the Buffalo Bills used another random quarterback that they found from God knows where and decided to win a game. So that was pretty exciting.
What a crazy turn of events, hey? Like, if you actually go out, and not that I'm talking about United at all, I'm obviously talking about the Bills, but if you go out and you actually try to win, sometimes you win.
Interesting concept, really.
Yeah, like you come out and you don't just let the other team walk all over you. You win sometimes.
Yes, exactly. Now, we'll forget that the other team is also terrible.
That's
and
fair.
we'll pretend that isn't the case. And, you know, it was a win against a team in our division. That's always nice.
Well, 2 shitty teams can make a tough game.
Yeah, and this one wasn't even a tough game. It was kind of a landslide.
It was a little bit of a blowout, hey?
We were a little bit behind in the game because we had gone out in the morning to have breakfast with my mom and run a couple errands. So when we got back, I wanted to text you and say, have you seen the game? But then I thought, I'm going to wait because I didn't know where you were at in it, and I didn't know if we were going to blow it or not. You just never know. You think a 30-point lead could be a shoo-in win, but
see, I didn't actually watch it.
Watch it? Yeah, I kind of figured.
It's one of those things where Google knows that I've Googled the Buffalo Bills like twice in my life, so now I get updates every game.
I know. Isn't it funny about that? It's like if you've ever showed interest once in something, you will forever be tracked by Google on that topic.
There's a voice actress named Tara Strong that was on a podcast today, and I was just like, I'm always curious, like, what does a voice actress look like? And she was making these comments like she's had some cosplay outfits made of different characters. She's been like Harley Quinn and Batgirl and stuff. And she kept saying like, oh yeah, that costume was really hot. And I'm thinking, you're a voice actress though. Like you use your voice. This isn't about having the titties. So what do you actually look like? So because I Googled her, I guarantee I'm going to get daily updates on this chick.
You'll know her every move.
Yeah, it'll be like Tara Strong was at McDonald's today. Delete.
But that aside, is Tara Strong hot?
Better looking than I expected.
Okay, that's good.
But yeah, no, we don't have to go there. You're just hurting people's feelings if you bring those things up. That's like someone saying like, "Oh yeah, you hired a personal trainer? I bet he's just a smoke show." And they're like, "Well, he's Jordan."
Do you imagine that conversation happens a lot with your clients?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a perception like you hired a personal trainer and they're thinking, oh, there's a little affair going on. And then they meet me and they're like, oh, you hired Shrek. Great.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Well, that could be something as part of your welcome package from now on. I just want to let you know you're going to have this awkward conversation and it's okay.
It's okay. Shh. I'm a fucking hideous chud. It's all right.
Now people are going to be looking at Googling Jordan McWhirter to see what's going on with you.
Yeah, go for it. I think all you find is my 2 podcasts. So
yeah, I was gonna say this podcast will be one thing, but click on images and see what you find. You never know.
I might have to do that one of these days. I doubt there's anything out there. My name wouldn't be on it. So, anywho, how's the weather affecting you, Ashley?
Well, weather currently is affecting me in a positive way. Had to walk home from work today and.
Did you hold melted up quotations there when you said work? 4 hours of something you volunteered to do just because you're at your place of work. I don't know if that's work.
Well, I was not paid for what I did today. So if that's the criteria, then perhaps you are right. I went in on my day off. Let's put it that way.
Touché.
To work on some volunteer work. And I walked home and it was pleasant. And it is pleasant. The sun was shining enough that all of the snowy bits did not try to kill me when I was walking on the sidewalk. So that's always positive.
The sun was shining enough. I put on sunglasses on my way home.
Which is always nice in November.
Yeah, no kidding. In Canada, it's great to see the sun.
Mm-hmm.
Let's run through a couple of things. Do you have any financial advice for the week?
Ooh, this I like. Financial advice for the week. Well... my financial tip of the week is, and I read this before and I always thought it was a good idea. In 1 or 2 years, I actually did it, but I can tell you I didn't do that this year, is instead of panicking last minute for Christmas and realizing that you are about to have your expenses go up in a major way, I did a savings box for about 2 years where I saved money every month in a box, which sounds very ghetto and old school, but anyway, it was symbolic, I suppose. And at the end of the year, I had this big box of cash to go shop for gifts with. So this year, definitely didn't do that. And I mean, not a massive deal, but I was thinking, man, it's nice to plan ahead for big expenses. So obviously the box of money isn't necessary, but things like travel, things like Christmas gifts, whatever that's a way larger expense in your life than a normal month's worth of expenses. Kind of cool if you can bucket that out throughout the year and save throughout the year.
Yeah, if you could really put together like a solid budget that was actually the real stuff that you're going to spend money on, right? We have a budget and it's, gas and groceries and this and that, and it's all the good stuff for sure. But you're right, when you come to Christmas, holy shit, it can be hit on the bank account. So what you're saying is budget your money, be smart, and be financially prepared.
Yeah, exactly. And when your point is totally valid. When you're budgeting, don't just budget for the normal monthly expenses. Think big picture. Because even with travel, how great would it be if you saved every month so that when your trips came up, it wasn't an extra expense. There was just a pool of cash waiting. And I mean, lots of us do activities like that, but maybe not as planned as they could be, right? So if you have a bucket of money for gifts and you have a bucket of money for travel and you're saving for a car or whatever they are, try to keep it separate, and then you have a really good idea of where your money's going. And I think that's really helpful.
So because this is somewhat of a humor podcast, we're going to switch this from actual financial advice to Jordan-style financial advice, which is don't get drunk and then high and then start shopping for medicinal marijuana online, because you'll end up spending... Do you want to take a guess? Like, what would be a reasonable amount that someone might spend on that?
$80?
Yes, that would be a reasonable amount. Now, I need to preface this with... My health spending account through work has a section for doctor's note items, so I can get my medicinal marijuana through that. which is fantastic. However, when you go on let's say a Saturday night and maybe you've had like half a bottle of rum and part of a joint, maybe you don't go and spend $323 on medicinal marijuana. Never.
So what you're telling me is there's a very large package coming your way in the mail right now.
And I'm telling you that probably for the next 3 years, I will not be buying any marijuana, regardless of how well it makes me sleep. I woke up Sunday and was just going, what have I done?
Now, were you surrounded by others when you did this? Was this like a group thing?
I would never throw anyone named Sarah under the bus. It would never happen. And we were never talking about, oh, isn't it amazing that I can get it through my health spending account? I wouldn't do that, obviously.
No, of course not. No, you acted alone in this thought process, clearly.
I acted 100% almost alone, yes.
I think that's good advice. And, we can expand that and say, in general, do not shop when you're drunk or high.
No.
It's just not a good idea.
No. When you are drunk, there are a few acceptable things to do. Make whoopee with your wife. Sleep. Stumble around a little bit. Watching Netflix is a great idea. Nothing that has to do with money.
Yes.
When you're
exactly.
high, a great idea is to not have your phone with access to the internet and to not have snacks like cookies around either. I highly suggest not having any of those.
How many cookies did you have? Do we need to have a talk?
Do you know how many Oreos come in a box?
You ate all of those?
No, because the box wasn't full. But if it were, I don't see that I would have been stopping.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for that. I think we've got 2 good pieces of advice for our listeners.
We should start having a nutrition advice section, too.
We could throw out all the biggies.
So let's just flip to something that's not to do with addictions. How's Netflix going for you?
Netflix has been going awesome. I've really hunkered down and found a little bit of love for Netflix. So
that's good. I am curious because we're going to get Amazon Prime, and I really want to see what Amazon Video, or whatever the hell that's called, is like.
And we have that as well. But we haven't been on there as much, or I should say I haven't. I know Brad goes in there on occasion, and we've watched a couple of things from Amazon Prime. But I haven't spent enough time in there. I think because Netflix is hooked up to the TV, it's just so much easier for me to just hop on there.
What's the Prime through? Like on the tablet or something?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Brad's got a tablet.
Do you have a Chromecast?
I do, yes. Yeah, I know.
Get you a Chromecast?
And we use that. I guess it's just, I'd have to go get Brad's tablet, find the app, log in. You know when you're just not used to doing something?
In an apartment as big as yours, could you imagine trying to find a tablet?
It's shocking.
Jeez.
Absolutely shocking.
You know what?
Okay.
I don't want to take up your time here anymore. We're 13 minutes in, and you're going to need the next hour at least to find that tablet.
I'm actually looking at it right now. I could stretch my arm out potentially and get in there, but...
Well, I guess that's not the hard part then.
No.
Okay.
No, I guess not. You're right. But, Netflix is already up on my TV, so it's just so much easier.
Right.
So, what I have been watching lately, well, I see Making a Murderer 2 has come on recently.
Now, what I heard about that is that it's basically them just rehashing a bunch of, like, forgotten, I don't know, information, kind of skipped over data, all that. I don't really have an interest. I like the first one, but it's done. Like, unless they're letting the kid go, then F it.
Well, and so we're only on episode 2, so I've only watched 1. Basically, part of it is that they're working with not the kid, but the Stephen Avery's working with a lawyer who's famous for wrongful convictions and getting them overturned. And she's had like 17 or 18 overturned. So working with her, So there is new information. I mean, they're rebuilding certain aspects of the crime scene. Like you said, they're rehashing details. They're getting way, way, way more into it. It's very technical, I find, from like a legal perspective. Like it likes to talk about what the appeal process is like.
Yeah.
It's kind of something we're gonna watch it, but it's something you got to be in the mood for just to throw on for a while. And like I'm not going to be binge watching it the way I binge watched season one. I think it's just going to be a fill in the gaps thing. So
Yeah, you kind of piece through it.
yeah, exactly. But the most important news is This Is Us season 2 has finally come to Netflix.
So that's something that people cannot watch because it's that important that you would not watch it?
What pisses me off is when you get
became a show.
No, it's when you get hooked on a show and then you realize Netflix only has one season of it when there's more than one season.
I have had that happen, yes.
Frustrating. Yeah.
Or
so that's the boat I was in.
I've watched season 1. Like, this was Big Mouth for me, right? Watched season 1, hilarious, ripped through it, and then I hear, oh my god, season 2 is coming out. And I watched it in a Friday night and a Saturday afternoon. And then it's done again. Just, like, you almost need 5 or 6.
The hell out of that.
Yeah, you almost need 5 or 6 seasons of a show you really like, but it just doesn't work that way.
So how is Big Mouth season 2? Because that's on my list too.
Man, it was, I thought, funnier than the first season, but like way more crude. Like they really pushed the bar.
That's good. I like to hear that.
That's what you're looking for. So, yep.
Exactly. That'll be something I'll be watching soon. Also watched a show called Jack Whitehall Travels with My Father.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe that's just popped up on like, popular on Netflix or something, but I feel like I've heard that.
So it's another one of those shows where there was a season 1, and then I watched it. There was only, 6 or 8 episodes, and then you wait, and then this season 2 came out. So essentially Jack Whitehall's a comedian. He is in his 20s, and his dad is like a 70-year-old British man. There's quite an age gap there. So he takes his father on travels around the world. They go to Europe, and they're all over the place. And it's just funny because he's got this proper British father, and he's kind of just, a 20-year-old doofus. And it's kind of the struggle between them. The only thing is, it's like a lot of those shows where the premise is funny, but then they decide, okay, we're not just going to take the basic hilarity of this situation. We're going to make it more real by, staging situations. And so it has a reality TV feel that isn't good. But if you overlook that, it's kind of funny.
I really need to figure out how the hell people pitch these shows. Because I've got a show. I would love to make it. But I don't have the means to make it. And nobody would care at all.
What's your show?
I'm not telling you. Someone's going to steal it.
Okay, well, the only other thing that I just finished binge watching, and you're just going to shake your head at me for this, but I will admit to it. You already
said This Is Us, so I'm pretty much done with this episode.
So there's a show called Age Gap Love on Netflix.
What the hell is this shit?
So it's mostly based in the UK, but they do have a few couples in the US. And it's essentially couples that have really large age gaps, like 30, 40 year age gaps, 20, 30, 40 year age gaps. And just the dynamics of what that's like. And I mean, it was showing up on my recommended, watched one, and then you kind of get hooked, and it's a bunch of different storylines, and it just rolls for 6 episodes, I think. I like that kind of thing. I don't know. It's like a little bit of social commentary, and then just, yes, it's reality TV, but some of them were weird. Some of them were totally normal. Very few seemed like sugar daddy situations, but somewhere, like, there was all sorts of stuff. So anyway, I did watch that, and I watched it fairly quickly because I enjoyed it. So if you like reality TV, I'd say that's a fairly interesting one. Also, found out that they call boy toys Toy Boy in the UK, and it's quite annoying.
Toy Boy.
Toy Boy.
So
and after you...
of all of that show, that's what was annoying to you.
That's what I take away from that, yes. Toy Boy is annoying.
Okay. Man.
Okay, your turn. You might actually have something of value to provide for a recommendation.
I might be done with this podcast. This might be it. I'm done. You know what? That's it. I'm done. I had news. Don't care anymore. Bye,
You're
everyone.
Like, who am I working with?
Holy
I can't do this
shit.
anymore.
I guess you try to have co-hosts with different opinions on things, but man, I think you might have recommended this one, Dirty Money. Did you watch that?
Dirty Money?
No, you didn't then. So Dirty Money is all of these like financial scandals and stuff. There's one about Trump. There's one about the Volkswagen diesel cover-up. There's one about... There's a bunch of different things. The one I just watched was a guy who ran... I want to try to put this right. Like the payday loan sort of loans.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yep.
And how fucked that system is. And this guy just ripped people off like crazy. So it was like one of the biggest lawsuits in American, if not world history. And it's just an interesting show. Like, I was kind of with the whole Volkswagen one. I kind of knew what happened. It didn't really surprise me that much. There were a couple of almost disturbing moments in that episode. But then you get into some of these ones where they've just completely screwed over the little guy. And these people get rich beyond belief. I'm watching one right now. I'm in the middle of it about a drug company and how they went around and their MO was to buy other drug companies and then take the drugs that they were producing and jack the prices. Like this one lady was spending something like $1 a pill for whatever drug basically kept her condition at bay so she could survive. Then this company bought it up, and it went up it was like $3,000 a pill or something like that. And this is something she needs daily.
Oh my gosh.
It was insane. Like, it went up hundreds, if not thousands of times, and just so they can make some extra money. Like, it was absolutely ridiculous. So, I suggest, again, if you like kind of the not unsolved mystery, but sort of the crime... legal system sort of thing, as well as if you're not a big fan of the little man getting screwed over, this one might be one to watch. Dirty Money.
Okay, that sounds really interesting. Sounds like you would leave it being upset, though.
You do, kind of, but they also tend to get theirs in the end. Like this guy, and this isn't going to be the happiest thing, but if you were someone who got screwed over in that whole scam, it might be a happy thing. Yeah. The one guy who was kind of the main dude, the main financial guy, his brother was more like the face of the company. He was the, working with the employees, that sort of thing. That brother ended up committing suicide over the whole thing.
Oh,
because
wow.
It was like they were screwed. They were going to jail for the rest of their lives. And I guess he decided, better out on my own means rather than sitting and rotting in a cell for the rest of my life. But the main guy is, I can't remember what it was. He got a pretty long sentence, like 10 to 18 years or something like that. And he was just dirt fucking broke. Like the episode starts with the government coming to take away all of his cars and everything. So he's sitting in his house watching these guys wheel his, Ferraris and shit out of his garage, which was actually pretty satisfying. So
cool.
Yes,
okay.
It's upsetting, but you can also be like, yeah, fuckface got his own.
Nice.
And then we started watching The Good Place. Have you seen that one?
Oh, that's got Kristen Bell in it. I know the one. I haven't seen it.
So
heard pretty good things about it.
And we had heard awesome things about it. So we sat down a few months ago and watched maybe 2 episodes and just thought, what is this fucking drivel. Like, it was terrible. Not funny, awkward. The characters didn't make really any sense, and they just frustrated me. So we stopped, and then my sister-in-law had said, no, you really have to get maybe 4 or 5 episodes in, and then it's almost like you get used to the humor. You know what I mean? Like, I think if someone just today was like, I'm going to watch The Big Bang Theory, and just started from now, I don't know if they would like the show. You almost have to start that from the start, give it a season, and then you just kind of grow with it. And I think that's this one. I think The Good Place is you have to get used to the humor that they're using, and you start to understand the characters, and then that humor builds with them.
Okay.
So I don't usually like doing that where I have to say, try to get through a few episodes. But this is one where I laughed pretty hard the last couple episodes we watched. So I think it would be worth it.
Well, and, it's kind of a neat thing. What's Lauren thinking? Like, are you both kind of in the same place with it?
It's the one that, when all of the shows that we tape and all that is kind of run out for the week, we'll flip this on and watch a few episodes. Yeah.
So that's good, right? Because, it's obviously a good couples show then if both of you are kind of interested.
Yeah, I think so.
Cool.
And then a client of mine had recommended Outlander. Have you seen that at all?
I think I've heard it's sexy.
I think it will be.
Okay, that's all I know about it.
I'm going to put it this way. It's graphic. Like, there's a lot of... I don't want to say there's a lot of violence, because it's not like a Game of Thrones where there's big war scenes or something like that. But they do... Maybe once, twice an episode, there's something reasonably violent that happens, and they do not hold back. Like, holy shit. Like, not Halloween, sorry, but horror movie level gore, but in, like, the real world. And it's just terrifying. Is something whistling?
That is my washing machine telling me it's done.
Oh, that's fantastic. Did you want me to pause this so you can get back to your wifely duties, as you said?
No, you know what? I can actually do them while I'm talking to you.
Oh, that's fantastic. We're going to have a new segment in this show called Listen to Ashley Do Housework.
What chore is Ashley doing now?
It'll be a call-in guest thing. Oh, I think Ashley's washing the dishes. No. Ashley's scrubbing her feet in the bathtub. So, Outlander, there have been a couple of sex scenes thus far, but say halfway through the first season, not a ton of nudity necessarily, but I have heard that it gets pretty kind of steamy in certain areas. So we'll have to wait and see what that's like. But that's what I mean. Like, when there's sex, it is sex. Like, you're pretty sure that there's full penetration going on. And then when there's, like, I don't think I'm going to spoil anything, but one guy's getting, what do they call it? The cat o' nine tails is what they used when they flogged someone back in the day.
Yeah.
And he is tied to the post and getting flogged to the point that there's, like, skin falling off his back and shit. It was fucking disgusting. Like, I almost had to look away. It was that gross. And
the way you were talking about it, just when we were talking about the sex, I thought you were going to say it was sexy.
No.
Then you said skin falling off the back, and I went, nope, we're done.
Yeah, that's past the sexy. I don't care what you're into. That should be past your sexy point.
Yeah, I don't care if you're into flogging. If skin is falling off your back, it should be past your sexy point.
Yes, should be, yes. So, Outlander's one, I would recommend, but I'd still say you got to get 3, 4, 5 episodes in, which is tough because they're a full hour each, even on Netflix without commercials or anything. What's been annoying me, though, is there's a new season starting up soon. So you see commercials on TV, and it's totally ruined certain plot lines for me already.
No.
You know, it's kind of like will they, won't they? And fucking commercial comes on, and I'm like, oh, well, now I know. Thanks.
Yeah, now I don't need to guess if they will or they won't, because
But
it's already told me.
I think that's a fairly early plot line that's going to get solved. Like, I think in the next episode that gets solved. So it's not like it's not really going to wreck anything for a prolonged period. It's not going to be like, you know what's happening 4 seasons from now and some massive plot twist is going to happen.
Right. Yeah, because that's kind of a buzzkill.
It would be, yeah.
The whole thing's been ruined for you and you're just kind of building to what you know is going to happen. So,
Yeah.
well, that's good.
Yeah, like, I don't watch scary movies, so I don't plan on watching The Sixth Sense, but there's no point. I know there are things leading up to the end, but when you know the end of a movie like that, really, why are you watching it? It's not because Bruce Willis is, like, the most amazing dramatic actor of our time.
Yeah. Neither is Nicolas Cage. I can say that with absolute certainty.
I didn't even know he was in The Sixth Sense.
He isn't, but
are you sure you're not thinking of Gone in 60 Seconds?
He's definitely not in The Sixth Sense. But when you talk about people who are not the greatest actor ever, he comes to mind.
Yeah, that's where we're going. Yeah. Touche. Good point, Ashley. He is not.
Cool. Anything else, or is that it for now?
That's my Netflix section, but
Nice.
while we're on viewing content, I believe you went to the cinema, and we didn't get to talk about it last time.
I did, yes. It's very exciting. I went and saw a movie live and in person, which
Wow.
I used to do every week, and now I do a lot less frequently. But hopefully we'll do a little bit more through the winter. So yeah, we went to see Bohemian Rhapsody.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it was very good. I realized when I went to see it that I knew very little about Queen, actually.
Yeah, I think just seeing some of the press coverage and hearing it talked about a couple of times, I can understand that I really didn't know that much about Freddie Mercury or Queen past, love the hits. That's about it.
Yeah. Well, and, it's funny because that's exactly the place I was in, but I didn't really realize it. I think because they're such a well-known band and easy to identify, and, you know a little bit about Freddie Mercury, you kind of feel like you know a lot. But then once you get into the movie, like for me, it was before our time, and there was a lot that went on that I had no idea about.
And
so I found it very informative.
It was a different time, too. Like, we very much come into, in our time frame, being born in the late 80s, going through the 90s, there are a lot of social topics that just aren't really topics. I think that's what it's going to be like for, say, our grandkids when it comes to things like transgendered. They're just going to be like, yeah, whatever. Tommy's got a wiener but doesn't want it. Like, that's not going to be a big deal whatsoever, and it'll be talked about just like, Uncle John and Uncle Travis, as we would now.
Yeah.
But those
that
social
makes
things,
total sense.
as well as even drug use and that sort of thing, was much different back in the 70s and 80s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's a very good point, because whenever I watch something that's before my time and it is so out of touch to what we're just used to from what's societal norm now, you're like, okay. I think there was a lot of that in this movie. I think the movie's getting mixed reviews.
Yes.
I feel like if you were alive when Queen was around, coming into being, I guess, is a better way of putting it, and you know a lot about Queen, maybe there's some inaccuracies. Again, not knowing anything about Queen, for me, I just found it informative.
Yeah.
I also thought the guy that played Freddie Mercury did a really good job.
Yeah, I can never remember that guy's name, and I feel bad, but he does some cool stuff.
I just looked it up because I'm in the same boat. Rami Malek?
Right, yeah. He's the kind of guy, you say his name, and I wouldn't associate him with anything, but his face obviously is the
very
defining
memorable
characteristic, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, so I thought he did a great job.
I heard a pretty negative review on Bohemian Rhapsody this morning on a podcast. But, it's the same thing that I said about Venom. If you go in and you expect, this is going to be a fucking shit of a segue. God damn, I'm good. But if you go in expecting, exactly what you had in your childhood and what you grew up with and that sort of thing, you're going to be disappointed. If you go in and you're just expecting, an entertaining movie, and there's some good, there's some bad, you'll be fine. You won't feel like you wasted your money by any means.
Yeah, and we had dinner with you a few days, or maybe just a day before we went to the movie, and we were talking a little bit about that, just having low expectations going into the movie. And I think we both did, and we were bopping along. Obviously, the music's featured a ton in the movie. So, you sit there, like you said, go in, relax, just be entertained. Don't overanalyze it.
Yeah. That's just, that's movies and TV a lot. I think that's a problem I had with something like Game of Thrones. It's talked about so much. I was expecting something that was just going to rock my world. And it was good, but I haven't really sought out the second season, so how much did it stick with me? Versus if I really didn't know anything about that show and I just popped it on, I think I would have just crapped my pants every episode, the whole episode.
Yeah, that makes sense. It just gets talked about too much to the point where if you let yourself be too influenced by what people are saying, good or bad, I think it always has an effect on your outcome of what you think of it.
There's the rare one where I can understand it because something is so absolutely legendary that you really can't talk too badly about it. And I think we both know what I'm talking about, and we're going to try to not be too sad about the whole thing. But today, November 12th, 2018, is the day that the legend, the one and only Stan Lee passed away. Mm-hmm. Now, if people don't know who Stan Lee is, I don't want you as a listener. I think you can go somewhere else, and that would make me just very happy. However, if you're past that and you're still listening, Stan Lee, along with others, it's not a one-person thing, but he created, developed, was the mastermind behind Spider-Man, Iron Man, Hulk, Fantastic Four, fairly much every great comic book character that ever was Stan Lee's. On the flip side, there was DC, and we don't have to talk about that. We'll just keep talking about Stan Lee. Good things.
Absolutely.
And that was a segue because of Venom. We got a little far from the segue, but now we're back. So, I don't know. Well, let's start with this. What was your reaction when you heard that our Lord and Savior Stan Lee passed away?
Well, I
also have a theory after this, so remind me I have a theory.
Okay. I went to Google first just to see how old he was before. I wasn't sure. He's just one of those guys that, you knew he was quite old, but he always seemed to be in decent shape still.
Well, and I recently watched Mallrats. Yeah. And that would have been the first of Kevin Smith's movies that Stan Lee was in. I swear he looks exactly the same in Mallrats as he did in Infinity War, which would be the last movie we've seen him in.
Right? Yeah, it's very weird. And I agree. It's like he didn't age for the last while.
It's insane.
So it says he was 95. So I thought, okay, well, that's a great life, obviously. And then I was just, again, amazed that he was that he was 95, because I really wouldn't have known. Then I pretty much thought of you after that, and I texted you right away. I was probably a couple hours late on finding out just because I was working here at home on some stuff. But it's one of the ones, it's a big one because, Stan Lee and what Stan Lee provided to the comic book world has been, a huge part of my life since I met you, essentially, for our entire friendship. It's definitely been a part of my life. And yeah.
See, I attribute this one to be, this is the one I was waiting for. Like, we talked about when Robin Williams passed, that was a tough one. I didn't have a good day that day. And then there were ones like Chris Cornell and Chester, was it Bennington from Linkin Park?
Yeah.
Those ones hit pretty close to home. And that was odd, I guess maybe because they were a little bit more like we've talked about that influential age, right? Say 14 to 16, something like that, when you really kind of defining where you are in the music world and that. But I remember us talking through one of them, and we were saying, you know, there are those people in the celebrity world that are really, really going to hurt when they pass. And I think one of the biggest ones for me, because I did know that he was in his 90s, would be Stan Lee. Like, that's my entire childhood.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
From even those Spider-Man 67 cartoon shows.
Yep.
Those, I mean, I watched those weekly, right? Those were a big thing. I collected Marvel comic book cards. I collected comics. I've got figures. I've, posters. I've seen every Marvel movie that ever came out. Not Marvel TV shows necessarily, because who fucking cares about Iron Fist? And they canceled it, thank Christ. But it's just every single one of those things was because of him. And like I said, other collaborators. But it's just wild to think that the origin of that universe is gone.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's kind of like a star exploding. I should say a sun exploding, and that light just keeps traveling and traveling and traveling, and we'll all, like in our lifetime, we'll always get that light, but that star's been gone. So like our kids are going to know everything that Stan Lee ever did, but they'll never actually know Stan Lee. You see what I did with the star thing? That was fucking good.
That was an amazing analogy. I think I got chills.
God damn it!
That.
I should have gone back. I had a deep thought segment that I was doing, and I need to. Son of a bitch! I really fucked up on this one.
Yeah, you wasted that whole thought doing it outside of a deep thought segment.
Just everybody. That's me going back in time. Deep thoughts, whole Stan Lee thing, star, light, kids, lifetime, originator, boom. Stan Lee is God. Yeah, I was really thinking about what's going to happen in the next while without him, because you've got all these Marvel movies planned, and if you've paid any attention in these movies, he always has a cameo. Yeah. I had heard one time that he potentially recorded like 15 to 20 of those cameos so that they could be pieced into the movies in the next, say, 10 years.
Oh, that'll be interesting.
That would be really cool. Because there's always been this theory that he's in each one of those movies, but if you notice, he always pops up at a really important time in the movie. And I can think of Infinity War. He pops up, I think he's maybe the bus driver when Peter Parker's on the bus and first notices Thanos' ship coming to Earth. So there's a theory that Stan Lee is actually one of these characters called a Watcher, who basically sit back and they watch all of the events of the universe unfold, but they only ever step in when something really, really massive is about to happen. So there's this theory out there, and I would be interested to see if they keep doing those cameos, if they did store some, because that would just kind of confirm that whole thing of he is actually a character who's influential in the universe, but has never actually played a direct part in any of the events.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of neat.
That's really neat. Yeah, they gotta... You think they would have thought of something, like you said, like there's that theory. You would think that they would have thought ahead for something to make that continue to be a memorable part of the movies going forward. I could see them doing that as a tribute for sure.
Everybody knew he was in his 90s. Like, he wasn't going to live forever. Unless he does.
Yes, exactly.
Now, I had a theory, and I have to piece myself through it here while we're talking, because it was a good one. I had it on the way home. Oh, I wonder if in the next Infinity War, if they... Because we all know that there's going to be certain movies afterward. Now, you saw Infinity War, right?
Nope.
Jesus fucking... God damn... I hate
I
this
missed
world.
that one. I missed it.
No,
I missed
you
it.
didn't just miss it. That's just like the biggest thing to happen in cinema in ever. God.
I know. I didn't get to it. I can't explain it.
Well, I can't even explain my theory now because this is not a movie I'm willing to spoil. However, you've spoiled my afternoon. Fucking This Is Us and then this news.
I was gonna say you were already having a bad afternoon. I couldn't have spoiled it. I added to it.
Good Lord! Like the next thing you're gonna say is like, "Glad Stan Lee's dead." Christ, good Lord. Okay, well, remind me when you see Infinity War, if you ever see Infinity War, that I have a theory about Stan Lee.
Absolutely. I did not know when we were talking about your theory that it was going to have to do with that, or I could have interjected a lot sooner.
Well, I think that's the show, everybody.
Jordan is now way too disappointed. We're done anyway, but even if we were, we'd have to end it here.
See, but if you didn't tell them that, this would have just seemed like a natural end to the show, and now it seems forced.
Yeah, I just made it weird.
That's okay.
One of us has to do it.
This isn't a very good podcast anyways.
Hey now.
We should just call it Ashley and the Opinionated Guy.
Yeah, that would have been a really good name, actually.
We'll stick with it. We're too far. In 26 episodes, can't change shit now.
That's pretty impressive, I gotta tell you.
I've just heard of a couple podcasts. One was the Josta Show, Jamie Josta from Hatebreed. He just hit 400 episodes. And then Mad Scientist Party Hour, which I love, and everyone should listen to it if anyone actually takes my advice ever.
Yep.
I think they're almost at 400 episodes. And I'm just thinking, we really started late on this podcast thing.
It's just crazy to think, getting to that many and, still being interesting. But there's enough content in the world, depending on what kind of, how you want to position yourself in the podcast world, to be able to do, 400 episodes. But it's something to think about when you choose a topic. That's for sure.
Considering this show is about things that we enjoy or don't enjoy, there's a lot out there. And it's always going to be changing too, right? So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, we have new content every week because we've got something new that we've watched or something new going on in our lives.
Well, and it'll be super simple from now on because I'm just going to find a new co-host who actually watches the movies that they should be watching.
Well,
open
it was
auditions
nice knowing everyone.
Well, let's just fucking end it.
All right. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thanks. We'll see you episode 27. Here, no. Homework time. You, Ashley Schoonbart, co-host of the Imperfect Image podcast, have to watch Infinity War before the next fucking episode.
All right. So we'll see you in 2 months, maybe.
No, Jesus Christ.
Is it on Netflix?
No, I will send you a gosh darn link and you can watch the flippy dippy freaking movie.
You're going to go downstairs and you're just going to be swearing and just carrying on, and Lauren's going to be like, what happened to you up there?
I'm going to get downstairs and she's going to be asking already because my voice travels, Ashley.
True. Yeah, she'll already know something's going on. That's right.
I'm actually going into my phone and I'm sending you a link to a website that you can watch this movie on.
Perfect. Thank you for looking after me.
Okay. Anywho, everyone have a wonderful week. We'll talk to you next time.
Thanks for tuning in.
Bye.